Welcome back to Who Would Win, the week of Who Would Win. It's Friday, and we've got another one. This one comes to us from Admiral Williams, who asked the question, who would win in a fight? Aang, the Avatar from Avatar The Last Airbender, versus the MCU version of Thor. So Aang, obviously being the Avatar, had control of all four elements and was able to bend energy itself. Obviously being born an airbender, and, sorry, I put some icy hot in my back. I think I put a little too much because the hot part is currently really working its magic. Ooh, Sinji. But being born an airbender, he was already a master airbender. We've seen Aang create tornadoes. We've seen him create like hurricane gusts. Literally, super cool lava with a gust of wind. He's actually, despite the fact it's not really highlighted, Aang is actually a very exceptional combatant in terms of like hand-to-hand combat. He's what's the best way to put it? He's not like a striker or anything like that. It's not like actual true combat, but because the style of airbending is based off of Bagua, he's actually very capable of using his bending in conjunction with like unarmed combat. And he can create gusts. He can fly temporarily. He can create the little ball, which allows him to just run around. Obviously, he's a master of all the other elements as well. Waterbending, capable of pretty much doing near anything Katara can do, but Katara was the better waterbender. Same with Toph being the earthbender. Though he was able to do things to the extent of creating large boulders, sinking people into the ground, wrapping himself in on armor of earth. Firebending, breathing fire, the whole shebang. Then obviously you have the Avatar state to take into consideration as well. In the Avatar state, Aang was obviously described as a force of nature. He was capable of using all four elements simultaneously. I love that scene where he compresses the boulders into those tiny fist-sized rocks and then just fires them like bullets and just levels an entire canyon. He's literally has the power and experience of all his past lives, which I guess you could kind of liken to All for One for All in that way. Because you gain if you're channeling the past experiences and power of your previous incarnations. That's the more incarnations you have, the more power is kind of flowing through you at that point, I'd imagine. And Aang was also the first Avatar to develop. Maybe not the first, but he was the Avatar that we know of to develop energy bending, where you bend the energy of another. And you can take away their bending. Hell, you can probably give bending. Excuse me. But if the person's spirit and soul is greater than your own, then they can overwhelm you, corrupt you, and destroy you. So but for all Aang's abilities, he's still only human. He's still very much susceptible to anything a human is susceptible to. Humans in the Avatar universe are not depicted as being any more durable, by any large margin anyway, as a normal human. So Aang is still immensely powerful, immensely skilled, and one of our favorite characters. Yip, yip. MCU Thor. Now, keep in mind, we are using the MCU Thor. If this was comic book Thor, comic book Thor immediately gets the win no matter what. But we're talking about the MCU. And in the MCU, he's still Thor Odin's son, the son of Odin. He's an Asgardian, so he's not human. He's wielding Mjolnir, obviously. And when factoring how powerful he is, we have to look at all of his strongest feats. So in terms of speed, Thor himself is not really all that fast. He speeds around with Mjolnir, though, which allows him to fly at extraordinary speeds. Like he can just move at God knows what velocity you can think of. Though it's just never depicted very well how fast that speed is. It's implied to be, within a few moments you can travel across the entirety of Asgard. In like the comics, Mjolnir can fly around an entire galaxy and universe. But obviously, we're talking about the MCU and what we've seen through there. Unfortunately, Thor lost Mjolnir, so we can no longer really factor Mjolnir in, but he did gain Stormbreaker, which is, by all extension, a much more powerful version of Mjolnir. Very large and a bit more cumbersome, but more powerful. Able to open the Bifrost. It does, however, lack the enchantment that says only the worthy shall wield it. And have the power of Thor. It does lack that. So, it does have that little negative to it. But the bright side is it's a hammer and an axe, so it has cutting abilities. And was forged in the heart of the dying star, so it's highly durable. Thor, in terms, as we said, Thor in terms of speed, no faster than your other normal human. Thor in terms of physical strength, though, he's probably next to the Hulk the strongest Avenger physically. Even that's arguable because the Hulk, Thor can go toe to toe with the Hulk. Thor has nearly beaten the Hulk on the 2 occasions we've seen him fight. If it wasn't for the Grandmaster basically hitting that little button and shocking him, there's no guarantee Hulk would have actually won that fight, given how Thor was going out there, how hard Thor was going at the Hulk. Mind you, the Hulk gets stronger, obviously, the angrier he gets. So the longer that fight went on, the more advantages the Hulk would have. But it did look like Thor was going to win that fight. In their fight in the helicarrier, that fight was ultimately interrupted. They were duking it out at a pretty even pace, with the Hulk the Hulk looking like he was edging out Thor. So I mean, we know for a fact that Thor can go toe to toe with the Hulk. He can strike with enough power to destroy the vibranium core device that Ultron had made, but there was other caveats to that. I'm trying to remember everything I can remember Thor, doing in terms of strength. I mean, he struck the Rainbow Bridge with enough force to destroy it. He could go toe to toe with someone like Hela for short periods of time. Was able to, I was going to say, was able to fight Thanos. And to a degree, he was able to fight Thanos in Endgame, even at Fat Thor, which was not strongest Thor we had. But he still was. He still was not much stronger than like the top tier individuals. Durability wise, though, we can judge Thor's highest durability feat. It's the Star feat, where he was nearly killed by the Star to forge Stormbreaker. He did survive it, but he was near death's door. And it was implied that Stormbreaker was able to basically just revitalize him after that. So it is one of those things where you can make an argument that Thor in the MCU is low star level, but that's because he and it's a dying star, so it makes that low star level. But he did almost die. So we should keep that in mind for his durability. But we know he can survive in the vacuum of space. We know he can take blows from someone like the Hulk and keep going. We know he went up against the Reality Stone and ultimately only had mild injuries. He took a blow from Surtur, in a weakened Surtur, mind you. Was able to go toe to toe with Hela for an extended period of time. He's ultimately extremely durable individual. I think that's probably his strongest attribute, to be fair. Obviously, he can channel lightning through Stormbreakers, and Mjolnir, could do that. And he's got 1,500 years worth of fighting experience. As he said, I'm 1,500 years old. I've killed twice that many individuals. So, yeah. MCU Thor is a pretty powerful dude. So against Aang, how would this fight break down? Honestly, Aang would be a pretty good opponent for an MCU Thor, because MCU Thor is many leagues weaker than what we see in the comics thus far. Maybe Thor Love and Thunder will show off some seriously powerful stuff. But in terms of what he's shown, if he throws Stormbreaker is fast, but it's not fast enough that Aang couldn't avoid it. Or blow it off course with wind. Aang would not get into physical combat with Thor, because that's just not what Aang can do. Unless he's trying to bend Thor's energy, which he can tell this would probably not be a smart thing to do against this guy. And Aang can redirect lightning, too. So, even if he throws lightning at Aang, theoretically, Aang should be able to redirect it, provided it's a consistent stream. But if he just, hits the ground, he gets the giant electric shock earthquake, or like electric quake, if you will, lightning quake, then he should be able to, then Aang can't block it, is what I'm trying to get at. Good. Anyway, we also have to at least provide a scenario where Aang has access to all of his elements. So let's just assume it takes place near a body of water, and therefore Aang has all of his elements available. Aang probably wouldn't go Avatar state immediately. He'd probably start with wind, maybe throw fire in there, maybe even try to do a combo a la Naruto style, and just, supercharge some heated fire and just, try to hit Thor. Thor, though, can survive the heat of a star, so barely, but he can survive it. So that's probably not going to do much. Thor would rush in, try to, slice down, cut down Aang. Aang is doing everything he can to avoid Thor at this point. Blows him back with some wind, hits him with some earth, blasts him with fire. But Thor is just, walking it off mostly. The earth, I think, would hurt him to some degree, certainly, but he's still ultimately, um, um, he still ultimately isn't in any worse for wear. Aang eventually would go Avatar state, and then the tides is now a lot more evened out. So now Aang has the added power of the Avatar state to boost him. So he's now throwing everything back at Thor. He's floating in the sky in this giant sphere. And he's sorry, I don't know why I'm blanking on what I'm trying to say here. He's floating out in this giant sphere. He's throwing attacks at Thor. He does the whole compressing rock thing, blast Thor with the rocks, which definitely is starting to hurt Thor to some degree. Like Thor's durability is only so high. And Thor then swings Mjolnir in a circular pattern, blocks him off. They charge each other. Ultimately, the axe comes down. You want me to drop the hammer? Just brings the axe down and just clashes with Avatar state Aang, and there's just a big explosion. And ultimately, it is Aang who's down on the ground. What really I actually think against the MCU Thor, what really unfortunately hurts Aang in this fight is the fact that he does have he has limitations. He's still only human. He's got the durability and endurance of a human. He can only bend for so long before he gets tired. We've seen that in Avatar where people just get tired eventually. Thor can take a lot more abuse than Aang can, and therefore, he can dish out far more damage that Aang can't take than Aang can dish out to Thor that he can take. So Thor ultimately still wins this fight, but it would be a much more even fight than if I had put him against comic book Thor. Against comic book Thor, there is no way Aang could beat that guy. Even, let's say, in the scenario that Aang tries to bend Thor's energy, he's trying to bend the energy of an Asgardian. I don't think, even though he's the bridge between spirit worlds, I don't think Aang could bend this Thor's will and Thor's spirit. He's just too stubborn. He's been around too long, too experienced. Everything. There's just no way that would work in Aang's favor. So I definitely give this win to Thor. But I think it would be a good fight to see. Like I'd love to see like our superhero rewind, or I doubt Death Battle would ever do it. I love Death Battle, but they do tend to go for the obvious matchups. But like a superhero rewind or an animation rewind, or not superhero rewind. Bat and Son would never do it. But you know what I'm saying. Like I'd like to see someone take a crack at that. That'd be fun to watch. I'm just not the person to do it. But anyway, I digress. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, superhero, magic, what if, anything to do it on the channel. Put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. Later.